All right, we're live again for Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo. We have a great show. I'm joined by John Romano, Chris Aceto, Lee Priest. It's 2 a.m. over there. And we have special guest Jose Raymond on. Guys, welcome to the show. What a superstar panel we got today.
I love that countdown timer that you got to keep us from
Yeah, I need time to hit buttons. I'm engineering the show, so it's a great little widget.
Dave, there's 5 of us. You need that like 60 minutes little stopwatch. I'm Dave Palumbo. I'm Chris Aceto. I'm Jose Raymond. I'm Lee Priest, and I'm John Romano.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jose, I guess let's go to you first, since we haven't really caught up with you lately. What's going on in your life? What's the deal with your gym? Give us the whole spiel.
There's no gym as of right now.
No.
Ever since the COVID shit hit, there's no real. It's too risky for myself, the landlord, anyone. So that ain't happening for now. I got a couple.
Are gyms open in up by you?
Yeah. They're pretty much over 50% capacity. Depends on the ones you go to. I just go to private gyms, and there's no real rules or regulations in those places. But any of the commercial gyms, they're still limited. But yeah, they're open for sure.
Because I've seen that, like, at least out here in Cape Coral, I know in Florida, it seems like a lot of the older gyms are going out of business from that. They got hit really hard with COVID, but there's a lot of new gyms popping up. There's a Crunch opening by us right next door to like 2 gyms. I know I think a lot of people are trying to take advantage of the fact that these gyms couldn't survive that year and a half of, slaughter that they received from COVID, and they're trying to capitalize. Do you think that we're going to see a lot of new gyms pop up?
Sure. The commercial gyms are, they're a much bigger space. So the private gyms I go to are really small. So they didn't get hit too hard. They're not paying much in rent. Some of them even own the building they're in. So, I can't stand the commercial gyms. They're scumbags. They come in and take advantage of these people that couldn't afford it. That put their life, their mortgages, they put everything on these businesses, and then these big commercial gyms come in and kill them. So,
Lee, didn't you just go to a grand opening of a new gym, Metroflex, right?
Yes, Metroflex in Australia, and and I think it's part of the contract. They got those real big 200-pound dumbbells you got to have there. So yes, great gym in Sydney. It almost looks like the one in America, but yes, good equipment, good for the hardcore people. But they don't allow idiots in there, so I'm surprised I was allowed in for the opening. But yeah, and the guy that owns the gym, he also owns the fried chicken shop around the corner. So
I saw you stuffing your face. Yeah.
Oh, fried chicken, hamburgers. What's his name will love it, Jimmy, because they got beautiful hot dogs. And it's sometimes with the burgers and the hot dogs, it's all about the bun as well as what's in it. The bun is very important. So the buns are those like sugar buns that are nice and soft, and
I saw you with a very big smile.
Oh yes, look at that! Oh, look at that chicken! Oh,
that's a happy boy right there.
Look at that! And I got potatoes. I got salad on the burger. It's a perfect meal.
That it's funny. Lee says on the post too, like he's like, I've been to the mall, churches, Popeyes, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like he's like a fried chicken connoisseur.
Exactly.
Is that the best you've had?
I'd have to say it is. It's actually really good. It's sort of fried, but yet greasy, but not greasy. You know what I mean? It's sort of that's great. Let me say that. I'm going back just to eat there again. I might visit the gym, but I'll go to the chicken shop first.
Now, does the gym have similar equipment to like the ones in America, or is it like Australian?
Yeah, a lot of good basic stuff, and they got the Hammer Strength, and then they got some other brands there. But no, it's really good. Hey, how's this for a comeback? You'll be impressed. I haven't squatted for a long time because of my neck and that, so I did the belt squat. Oh, Lee was killing it, 400 kilos on the belt squat.
Wow.
They actually had to help me out because, the belt squat, you put the belt around your waist and it clips onto that thing. Because there's so much weight on it, when I went to stand up with it, the thing the belt's clipped to just kept bending up like that, so it was hard to get off the rack.
What piece of equipment is that called?
That's the new one. Now I'm going to market this because everyone's using that stupid freaking machine that they put electrodes on there. Yeah, that's the new newbie. That's the old newbie made new again. But all we do is when they put the piece on your head. So yeah, I put you in the chair. I give you some dumbbells. We flick the switch and you get a good contraction. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out with a smaller home version, like a toaster and a knife.
Yeah.
So if you can't afford that, you just put the toaster in the knife in the toaster. And
does it do a hair?
Latest...
It does hair removal at the same time, then, right?
It does. Yeah. It's got a strange smell to it. You smell it burning, but that's okay. Once you get past the smell of that, that's all right. But yeah, that newbie machine. We've got people in Australia charging $300 a pop where they hook you up to those machines and they follow you around the gym. I'm like, I'd trip over. It's like, I understand maybe if you got injuries or you're old or you've had a stroke or maybe you messed up a bit of an arm like me, but I don't really look. Good old fashioned weights is what's going to work. If you're injured or something, maybe give it a go. But $300 to wheel that thing around the gym and put electrodes on your body, I'm like, nah.
That's smart.
So I was arguing with a guy about it on there, so I put up the electric chair.
Yeah. Chris, now you're a big real estate guy. We know you have a lot of real estate, and since no one's paying your rent anymore, did you ever think about taking some of that real estate, turning it into a gym in Maine? New hardcore gym?
So he can lose more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he can make money if they leave the gyms open, I guess.
Instantaneously. Instant way to go bankrupt.
Yep.
How's your gym doing down there in Mexico, John?
I got out of that.
Oh, you did? Well, how is that gym doing, though, in general?
Well, I mean, it's doing okay. You know, they were closed for a while, and then they could open, you know, partial capacity. But, you know, it was different down there. The gym business is completely changing. I mean, the whole model down there were a ton of those, you know, key card gyms, Anytime Fitness, Snap Fitness, little tiny gyms that popped up. They're all gone now. Right. And, you know, the big gyms are the ones that are going to come back and pick up the pieces because they got the money. So
I don't agree. I think the mom and pop gyms are gonna flourish in this environment.
They all died. There's none left.
You don't think so? I would think now, because with people just sick of the corporate stuff and the corporate gyms, you know, maybe not being able to stay in business because of these rules they have to follow. Whereas the individual, you know, mom and pop gym owner can kind of say F you and keep the gym open, don't you think?
Well, if you're going to try to open a gym today, you're going to have to comply with a shit ton of regulations that you didn't have to comply with before. And that costs a lot. That's a tremendous startup. I mean, you got to build all of these plastic cubicles and, you know, all the protection, equipment that you have to have in place. And you have to, there's a place here that used to be Gold's. It's called Move Fitness now, big corporate place. Every other machine is blocked off. They got to close the gym every 20 minutes and sanitize everything. The rules in place are so ridiculous. I can't imagine anyone trying to open a gym today and comply with all that crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what the solution is, to be honest with you. But it's
leave everybody alone. That's the solution.
So, Jose, did you see? I don't know if you saw my interview. Did you see I interviewed Vic Richards?
I did.
You know, I can't tell you how many people have been asking me. You know, everyone wants to know where Vic Richards is. And you know, Vic Richards and I, for some reason, have a relationship where he actually likes me. I guess he feels that I put out a good show, and he likes that we keep it real and stuff like that. So he'd been reaching out to me. He wanted to get on the show, and he wanted me to pay him at first. But then I'm like, look, I can't do that. We don't really do that anymore. It's, you know, there's no contract. We don't make any money from this. So he's like, fine. And I guess he decided to come on. He wanted to do it live, and, you know, he wanted to address Ed Connors and some of the stuff, like accusations that Ed had made about him. But Chris and I were talking before the show. He is the original Kai Green. I didn't know his personality. I mean, Chris, right? I mean, you saw him in the gym in action, right? Back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I said he's the original Kai Green because he talks a lot like Kai does, and he takes a long time to answer a question like Kai does. He's a freak like Kai in terms of, you know, size, density, and he's an artist like Kai. I didn't know if you knew that, Dave. I think he draws.
Oh, he does. I didn't know. No.
And and they talk on any, even though it takes them forever to answer a question, they talk on any subject. In other words, you could, he's here to talk about bodybuilding, but you could ask him,
right,
about, regulation of, John's talking about regulating gyms. You could ask him about, what's his opinion on regulating, airline industry, and he'd go off on a.
He has a lot of opinions. You're right.
He's always been like that,
Yeah.
And he usually, they just remind me of each other. I mean, they're both so freaky too. I mean, in his heyday, Victor Richards, I think Victor Jose has seen him guest pose.
Yeah,
he's freakier than Kai, I think. Right, Jose?
Yeah.
Where did you see him, Jose?
I met him in person when I was guest posing, and he's still gigantic.
When was that? What year?
2013. I was out in Seattle.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy. He knew who I was. He came right up to me, and really friendly. He was still just a massive human being. Giant skull, hands.
Yeah.
He still had muscular hands, and I mean, he was probably still 240, 250.
He told me he's 280 still. I don't know if that's
there you
true.
Go. He probably is.
That's crazy, right?
Man, heavy muscle, and he looked it.
Right.
Really strong, very strong.
He told me he wants to downsize. He told me. I said you waited a long time to want to downsize. I thought you were downsized. They said, but it's funny. It's what I love guys with personalities and who are not afraid to say what's on their mind, and that's why I really enjoy interviewing him. Even though he's a little, it's hard to get him to the point. I got to keep him focused. He does have very strong opinions. He's not afraid to say them, and that's always a good interview. You can never go wrong with that.
You finally got to the Ed Connors part after he talked about the spiritual part and praying and that, and then the demons. Then after the demons spoke to him, he saw Ed Connors on your show talking about him, and then
you got that, Lee.
He knew what the demon was. It was Ed Connors coming on to talk about him. Yeah. I want to see him and Kai do a seminar together. It'd be perfect.
I'd like to see them train together, though. That would be great.
You know what's really remarkable is that he never really did anything. He never really got in shape. He never really made it a big impact competing. He never really made a big impact, as a celebrity in bodybuilding. But he's still around. People still talk about him.
He was afraid.
35 years later, and he's still one of those guys people talk about.
Because it's the what if, John. Everyone wants to know, what if Vic Richards had dieted down and done a show? Could he have won the Olympia? Could he have been another big Rammy, in other words? I don't know. He obviously wasn't that important to him, or he would have done it, right?
Chris, I mean, you used to see him back when we were there. I mean, he was a freaking monster. There was, I would have thought he could have won the Olympia if he dialed it in.
As a coach, Chris, what do you think was his capabilities?
Probably unlimited. I mean, I saw him in 87, and in 87, he was a legit close to 300 in good shape. And 87, I was out in California for the entire summer. And so 87, Gaspari was around. Lee Haney was around. I just posted the picture on Instagram, me and Lee Haney. You could see how big Lee Haney was. He was much bigger than Lee Haney. Not as wide.
That picture. That was a great picture you posted.
Not as wide, Dave, but of course, the legs, the tricep, like he had a crazy horseshoe tricep, huge arms, huge delts, big round pecs. I'm not saying he's could beat Lee Haney, but just in terms of
if you would have coached him, you think he could have beat Haney?
I think no, but I think that he would have been a very good professional bodybuilder. And then the other time crossing paths with him. I told the story is when Paul DeMeo had won the Nationals and we're at the airport, and Paul was like in a tank top and hutskins, and Paul looked like gigantic. I mean, he weighed in at 252, which was unheard of at the Nationals that year.
Yeah.
And we saw at the airport when we're flying back to Boston, Victor. And Victor was in hot skins and a tank top. And he looked like he was 70 pounds bigger than Paul. And he was always in good shape. He was never even remotely fat. If you remember, he was always like pretty darn tight year round.
Mm-hmm.
And DeMeo was huge. I mean, too.
Yeah, he made Paul look like a junior varsity. That's
crazy.
I thought what was most impressive about Victor Rich's was his thickness, front to back. He was big and wide, but thick. It was insanely thick. Like the distance between his pec and his back was just ridiculous.
Yeah. What did he weigh like off season? You think
300?
Legitimately,
easy three. 30, I think 310, 310.
Wow. And he's like what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'9", I'd say, 5'10".
You know who used to remind me of Victor before Victor come along was in his prime day, Nimrod King.
I interviewed Nimrod King, and Nimrod, I told, said, why did you retire so young? He said, after the interview was over, he said to me, he goes, you kind of made me feel guilty for leaving the sport so early. I said, you look like you could have won it all. I said, I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He just, he was, I guess, worried about his health. I don't know. He didn't want to, jeopardize his health. You got to respect that, right? I mean,
that's crazy. Look at those legs.
It's insane.
Look at him. This is a pretty recent picture, too. Still big.
I think the problem, Dave, is he thought he was in perfect shape. Bodybuilding, as you know, is more mental than anything.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that kept this guy from being unbeatable, is that he probably thought he was in condition.
Well, I'm sure Big Ramy thought he was in condition too until he finally wasn't placing well at the Olympia, and then he realized, hey, I got to step it up, or I'm never gonna make it. But you know what the truth is? Victor Richards was making so much money from Weider between the contract, the pages of advertising, that maybe he figured if I compete and don't do well, I might lose all this money that I'm getting. Maybe Joe told him don't compete. You never know.
Well,
right?
That's the wrong mindset. Think of how much.
Of course it is. You want to be Mr. Olympia, it's the wrong mindset. Not if you want to make a lot of money, though.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to make a lot of money, you don't do bodybuilding.
Do something else.
Well, I think he thought that paycheck was going to be forever. That he was making. He probably got paid for 10 years, 9 years, I would say.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I don't know if he saved it or not, but he was making good bucks. And plus, when you're traveling, you're not paying for your hotels and your food for the weekend, so you're saving money if you're on the road every week. Also,
Dave, it's the other Kai comparison. There is, people, fans, and people who promote the shows. Everyone wanted to see Victor Richards compete, just like they want to see Kai compete.
Right.
And they Victor always dangled it out there that he was going to compete.
Oh, he did?
Every year it was like, I'm thinking of competing this year. And, he never did.
If Weider wasn't around then, it was just like today's world of social media. Well, maybe he wouldn't need to. Maybe he would have just had a crazy Instagram and YouTube channel, I don't know, with videos of him training, But theoretically, he could have been more motivated to compete nowadays because there was no contracts, big-time contracts, But he probably would have been a freak of nature, even if he just posted Instagram and video. Imagine if he had video of him in the gym every day, all the crazy crap he was doing with the heavy lifting. The thing that surprised me is he didn't remember supposedly Valentino. He kind of knew who he was, but he said he never spotted him. He said that wasn't true with the sponges. The story Greg tells 6,000 times,
Right.
Dave, I asked lots of people to spot me. I can't remember, Dave. I asked everybody to spot me. I say, you want to come spot me? Come spot me. Greg, I love Greg. Greg's a nice guy. Yes. But I ask everyone to spot me. Yeah, he probably gave me some dumbbells. I don't know.
Who wouldn't remember someone putting sponges under their arm and spotting them? How could you not remember that if it was every day, like Greg said,
Well, it's because Victor oiled up before he trained. He put oil on all over him, And
No, John. That's just a story. I never oiled up. That's just a story.
Not you.
He's
No,
I'm
being Victor. That's Victor's answer.
The funny thing is, guys oiled up back then, and nobody even took any pictures. That was the funny thing. There was no cell phones or nothing.
Chris, do you remember the big Samoan dude he used to hang out with at the gym at Gold's?
No.
I got to find somebody who remembers him.
Dwayne Johnson.
What was that?
You don't know the guy's name?
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson. Did you hear people want The Rock to run for president? You think The Rock would ever win if he ran for president?
Of course he would.
Hey, yeah. Biden won. What do you mean would The Rock win?
Jose, would you vote for The Rock for president?
Our Rock would win, not The Rock. Our Rock. It's just it doesn't matter who it is.
I think he's going to do it. He keeps,
I think he will
dropping
too.
These hints in his social media.
Would you vote for him?
Sure.
Why not?
Now, what I want to know is why would you vote for him? Just because you think he's cool and you know him, or because you think he'd be a good president?
I think he's well-spoken. I think he's clear-headed. I think he listens to people. He obviously listens to people. He's a good listener. He's coachable. And that's all it takes, because the president isn't the guy running the show. He's just the mouthpiece. And there's no better mouthpiece than The Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people too feel like The Rock's one of them. He seems more like a people person because he's done the wrestling, the movies. You feel like you actually know him a bit more. So I think too people can relate to The Rock compared to any other politician they don't know. So
my social studies teacher told me, he goes, the one mistake that people make is that you don't really want to vote for the guy you want to go for a beer with at the local bar as your president. That's not the guy you really want. It's the guy who never left his bedroom because he was studying so much. That's the guy you want running the country. That when Bush Jr. was elected, it was like he's like the guy you can go get a drink with. You know, that's why guys voted for him. You know. I agree with that, by the way. I don't think you should vote for the guy you want to get a beer with.
Well, I had the vaccine. I could vote for Biden. He's like the guy you'd go take your medication with. So
he's the guy you're on dialysis with. That's who you like.
Hey, I want you to know that AstraZeneca vaccine shot I had, they've just said in Australia they're not giving it to people under 50 because it could cause the blood clots. I'm still waiting. What's a blood clot feel like when it's coming on?
You'll know, believe me. Yeah. Everyone's very upset, Lee, with you you taking the vaccine. They think you're sold out. They think you're, what's wrong with people?
Heaven forbid I put something in my body that's some sort of chemical untested on something. I wouldn't want to do that.
I said, why does anyone care if Lee got the vaccine? It's a personal decision. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. If you don't want to get it, you don't get it. That's the bottom line.
Wait a minute. The reason Lee got the vaccine is not because he doesn't want to get sick. If Lee got the vaccine, we could travel.
Right.
Without quarantining.
And half these people complaining I got it, they hope I drop dead anyway, so it's a win-win for them.
You're right.
That's so true.
Jose, would you get the vaccine? Did you get the vaccine, Jose?
Not unless I was forced to.
Yeah.
I got a friend who just got it a week ago, and he got sick as a dog, diarrhea, flu symptoms, hot and cold sweats, and he's got a giant egg on his shoulder.
Wow.
I didn't get that.
Go ahead.
When I got my vaccine, that day I felt okay. The next morning I woke up, I felt great. I went to the gym around lunchtime.
Yeah.
I had similar symptoms, but not as bad. I just felt really fatigued. Like, when you've had a huge workout and you just run down and you don't feel like doing anything. So the rest of the day, I just felt crap. And then the next morning I was fine again. But for about almost 10 hours, I just felt really fatigued and run down. Because I've never had a flu shot, but I've had friends that had flu shots and said they feel bad a couple of days later. Like Jose said, the runs, hot and cold flushes, really bad stuff like that. But I had the thing. My friend had, because he works security at the hospital, he had both Pfizer shots, and he had nothing from them. He felt great.
It's a Moderna. Moderna one is making people sick.
My daughter's a nurse, and she's pregnant and was supposed to get the shot. Two of her coworkers are nurses who are pregnant. Both of them got it. I don't know which one they got, but both of them lost their babies.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Holy shit. That's scary.
And at pretty far into the pregnancies too.
Well, if you get a clot in the placenta, that's the end, So I would assume that's probably what happened,
I mean, I'm not saying there's a correlation between.
Well, you might as well say it. There might be.
Yeah, you just made a correlation.
Yeah, you just made
Well,
it.
I mean, if you're pregnant and your two coworkers are pregnant, they get the vaccine. Both of them lose their babies. I don't think the third one's going to get the shot. I mean, it's just.
No.
I mean, whether there's a connection or not, I don't think you make that.
I got a friend here. She's a nurse and she's pregnant. She said she's not getting it just due to, there's no real studies on pregnant women and the vaccines and that. So she's a nurse type thing, but she's not going to get it until after the baby's born, maybe. Even then, she said she might not due to breastfeeding. So,
yeah.
John just did a study. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you? Would you do it?
What's that? Get the shot?
Yeah.
I already got the first one.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah, but I'm a woke
Hey,
liberal,
we're in the
so-
club.
Huh? And I'm
We're
not
in
traveling
the
anywhere
club.
late. Huh?
Lee and Chris can cover the Olympia for us now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a contest now to see who drops dead first or gets a club, me or Chris.
You send Lee and Chris out now, traveling all over the place.
There you go. Do you think they'll make the Olympia guys like who compete? You have to get the vaccine.
What's one more drug?
They're not going to put drugs in their body, Dave. Wake up to yourself.
Not if it's in Florida.
That's
Right.
true. Yeah, that's true.
If they find out it dries you out, hey, Chris and I'll start a rumor. We took the vaccine.
Yeah.
We're just dry. Our metabolism
God.
sped up. Oh, everybody
The
will be
more
going to the
salt Lee
doctor.
ate, the tighter he got.
Yeah,
Oh,
if we spread the
look
rumor
at
that Lee got strided glutes from the vaccine, everyone will go get the vaccine, right?
Yep.
I got the shot. I've been eating more fried chicken and I've done 400-kilo belt squats. What more do you want?
There you go.
There you go. That's right. There's all the motivation in the world. So
So
a couple of
you-
people asked me about my update on my health, and I met with the doctor via telemedicine, and what they are going to do now is I'm just waiting probably another couple of weeks, and then they're going to do radioactive iodine, and hopefully that'll be the end of the whole situation. Once they do radioactive iodine, they scan your body in 7 days, and anything that lights up, they'll see where the radioactive iodine went to see if any cells had traveled. The good thing is that if they did, the radioactive iodine kind of kills them. So the reason why thyroid cancers are so curable nowadays is because radioactive iodine is like a smart bomb. It just finds the cells wherever they go, and it'll just kind of destroy them. So that's a good thing. It's interesting because they actually give you shots of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, for 2 days before the radioactive iodine, because the TSH actually drives the radioactive iodine into the cells, the cancer cells, as well as any remaining thyroid cells, which there probably are none because they removed my thyroid gland. And so that's where I'm at. I feel I've never felt bad the whole time. Knock on wood. Everything seems to be going well. So thank you for asking about that.
So you don't want to take the iodine and turn into the Silver Surfer.
There you go. You are radioactive though for 2 or 3 days. So I got to stay away from my family. I got to have to sequester in a hotel room.
I'm surprised they seen your kid dressed for school and that he wasn't dressed in the boy in the bubble. You're so worried about COVID.
You know what?
We
We made the decision, send him back, because you know what? I at this point, you know what? I've kept him out long enough. My son's going stir crazy. My daughter wants to have social friends. She's like, it's like you take them to the park and they're like starved for attention. They're like trying to play with the kids because they don't go to school. So I'm sending him back. Today was the first day back.
Dave broke down. He couldn't take it anymore. Go to school. Go to school.
My wife and I made a decision. You know what I mean? At this point, they're pretty, kids don't really get it bad. If anything, my wife and I will be vulnerable.
Oh, they get it. They get it. They can give it to you. So now when they come home, they're in the west wing of the house. We talk on telephone. How was
So they
school
go into
today,
the bubble
son?
when they get home, Lee. That's the deal.
Yeah, but
You hug him. You hug him.
Kids are notorious for being little petri dishes with feet. You know, you want to get sick, hang out with kids.
I never got sick, and my kids never got sick until my son first started school, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And then every week he was sick because he had he had never been exposed to anything. And then we, of course, got a little version of it, not really bad. So, and my other kids got it because my son was bringing it home. And then quarantine came, right? COVID came. No one in my house has been sick for a year and a half. Now I'm sure that they're going back to school. Well, it shouldn't be quite as bad because I think they're a lot cleaner and they're a lot more sequestered. But
you tell yourself that to sleep at night, Dave.
Yeah.
You tell yourself.
Next week when I'm on the show with a runny nose and I'm blowing my nose and shit like that, I'll say, "Yep, you guys are right."
Be careful. You're starting
You
to
have to
sell.
get here at the old people's home. They had this thing on the news when COVID first hit last year. When people wanted to visit their relatives at the home, they had this big plastic sheet, and it had like the armholes in it. So you put your arms through the plastic armholes and hug your loved ones through the plastic. That's what you have to get.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see what they did now with the glove full of warm water?
No, what's that?
These people who are in the hospital that are, dying and they're alone and they have no one to comfort them. The nurses are filling gloves up with warm water,
Right.
and like putting the glove in their hand, in the patient's hand, so that they can, feel like they have somebody comforting them.
John, when are we going to get robots? Like you said, if they just got a couple of cool looking robots, no one would care anymore. Like you said,
I'm telling you, it's going to change the world.
They do. They're on XNXS website, or Pornhub might sell them. They have these beautiful robots, beautiful,
They don't move, though,
lifelike
yet.
looking. Yeah, they do. These new ones do from China.
For a lot of that's
there are
nothing.
really people inside of those ones from China, though, Lee. They're just sneaking over here. I hate to do this. I hate when I have to announce this. Another person in our industry, we lost another bodybuilder this past week, Brad Hollaback. I don't know if you guys knew who he was. I kind of met him back in the 90s. We both were kind of doing stuff for Peak Training Journal, which was owned by Steve Colescott back in the day. I know I was on a cover, then Brad was on the cover after, and I had done a bunch of guest postings with him back in the 90s. And I kind of lost track of what was going on with him, and I know he wasn't competing anymore, but he was still pretty big from what I understand. I don't know what the cause of death was. I don't know if any of you guys had heard anything about that. Anyone want to speak to that?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a heart attack or it was something like that. I mean, because whenever I see a big guy drop in his, he couldn't have been more than 50 years old, right?
He had a killer physique back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. And then I think he had some some lumps, some synthol lump issues at some point. But he did have a really freaky physique back when he first
looked like an early version of Branch back in the day.
Better though, wider, I think.
Very wide.
Was he still pretty big when he died, or
This I think is a recent picture I put up of him here.
is it?
I think so. This is pretty
2019.
Yeah,
I
crazy.
mean, you see the arms. He had
I
like
just read-
he had like a big shell of like scar tissue on his arm. But
Yeah. I just read online that he had kids and he sent them to school, and 2 weeks later, after going to school, they come home and he got sick. And
this might be my last show, Lee. Anyway, I hate to see. I always I got along with him really well. I hate to see when people we lose our Iron brothers and sisters so young. Terrible. So anyway, I send out our condolences and obviously prayers to his family. If I find out more information, I'll let you guys know. Maybe some of the people in the chat might know what happened. If you guys know or can find out, let me know. Put it in the chat. I'll announce it here.
for those that aren't abusing us in the chat, if you know, and you want to put something.
I did I was looking on my wall. John, you probably remember this. On the wall of RX Muscle Studios, and I have it here now, I had a picture of one of the original RX Muscle booths I had held when I actually was at Physical Paper Magazine. This was back in the 90s. I'd gone to Hawaii, and I had done I had a booth there that they gave me for a show that I guest posed at, and I have a picture of him. I think it's him, me, and Nasser. And Brad hitting a shot, and I just walked by the other day right before I found out, and I just looked at it. It's so weird how like energies in the universe kind of just like
Oh God,
tips you off.
Here goes Victor. Here goes a Victor Richards moment. Carry on.
I'm not saying Brad was the devil, it was pretty. Maybe he was just giving me a little, like I said, God wink from above there. So.
Well, if you find an old picture of walk past it and it's one of me, just give me the heads up, will you, before anything happens?
I got this. I did have a dream about you last night, and you had a needle in your eye. I don't know what that means or anything like that.
Just the fact you're dreaming about me makes me love you even more, Dave.
Let's talk bodybuilding for a minute here. We got the season coming up, obviously. A lot of big talk between all these guys and the New York Pro and everything like that. I wanted to get Jose and some of the guys' opinion. What do you think about like some of the new guys, Jose, coming up, like Nick Walker and Blessing Awabadu and all these? I know there's a lot of rivalry between these newer guys. Who do you like? Who do you think is going to be like a standout star probably for 2021?
I like them all. I really like this kid Blessing. He's super wide and he's got crazy muscle separation, like from his rear delts, his lats. He's got an awesome midsection. I don't know how it will all flow together on stage, but I'm excited to see it. I already know Nick Walker's a freak, and he's only getting better. So it's awesome. Hassan is.
There's Blessing right there. It's a free. Is that the new Kai Green, Chris?
He's impressive. I don't think he's at Kai Green's level, but
no.
Granted, Kai Green's been training 25 years. You know what I mean? It took Kai a long time to develop what he had, in his heyday.
Yeah.
Or still has. But that he looks great in that shot. I agree with Jose. He's really impressive. He's got great separation. Small waist, which is, goes a long way in any lineup.
Jeez, look at wow.
Look at that.
That's crazy.
That's impressive. Look how straight his clavicles are.
I like what Jose too, what he said. That Hassan, I think he could be the dark horse here, that Hassan, if he comes in condition.
Oh, yes.
Is Hunter Labrada doing it, the New York Pro?
I don't think so.
No, I think he's doing one. He's in it 13 weeks away or something.
Hassan Mustafa, who obviously Chris works with, alone looks like he is like the Olympia champ for the next 20 years. And, obviously a lot of people don't realize, and Chris, you could speak to this better than anyone. He had a lot of problems in terms of, getting sick before the last couple shows. So we really never saw the best of him on stage.
Yeah, he competed last year at the New York Pro. And, he was in the hospital, 4 hours later.
Wow.
And that was because he took that Moderna shot early.
Damn it.
No, he had hemorrhoids, as we know, everyone knows. And he competed with hemorrhoids. And he had them really bad running into the show. Was in, intense pain. And it was just, the minute the show was over, he was at the emergency room with them. So,
wow.
And it lasted. It wasn't like one of these things like, a week later after eating and drinking, it all went away. It was like lingering for a good solid 2 months.
And this was New York Pro, and he was not, obviously he was suffering at this show. So what do you think about Nick Walker's chances? I mean, Nick obviously very impressive at the end of last year, won the North American Championships. We've talked about him before, but placed top 5 at his first pro show. He seems like he made some incredible improvements over the off season. What's your prediction for that? I don't know. Whoever wants to speak to that. Let's get your opinion, Jose, on him.
What do I think?
Yeah, in other words, is he overhyped? Is he
no
justifiably hyped? I think he is.
He's justifiably hyped. He's gigantic, and he's got relatively small hips for such a big guy. He's got a great taper from behind. He's going to be very hard to beat. That rear double bicep on that kid, and he's so young. Like, how can you overhype someone who's 26 and looks like that? That's
crazy.
Not overhyped. And he's mastering his craft. He lives it every day. It's not like he works a 9-to-5 job. His job is to get better at bodybuilding. He goes to bed at like 8:30 at night, makes sure he sleeps. He's not out partying.
Right.
That's not him. He is a full-time bodybuilder. So he is only getting better. He's worth every bit of hype he's getting. I don't know if his physique is mature enough. Like if a Justin Rodriguez nails it 100%, he'll have his hands full with that. Blessing structurally is a bigger guy, but I don't know if he carries as much muscle per square inch. But yeah, they're all worth their the hype. I think going back to Hassan, like Hassan is so new to the sport that the sky is still the limit for him. Like he doesn't grasp the posing aspect of it, the mindset of it. How you have to go in and want to dominate and be aggressive, and he's such a mild-mannered guy that once he gets that edge to him, forget it. Hassan has more muscle than anyone on earth. He's like that myostatin bull. Every time I look at him, there's new muscle on him, right, Chris?
Right.
It's like he's getting harder in putting on weight. I've never seen such a thing.
Yeah, he's a freak.
And he's only
Derek Farnsworth said, "Oh, I missed Derek. Here he is." Derek Farnsworth says hello.
Hey,
What's up, Derek?
what's up, Derek? Always good to hear from him.
That's right. Now, what do you guys think about Justin Rodriguez? I was watching some of his Instagram pictures and videos and stuff like that. He's looking very impressive too. Chris, what's your analysis of Justin's chances at this show?
He has he's very good. He's probably underhyped, and he's got width. He's got a great frontal bicep, great crunch shot, a lot of back detail, muscle maturity. Not the thickest guy, but that doesn't mean he's not thick.
Right.
And he has a lot of polish, to his physique. And he's proven that he can go toe to toe with a very good Akeem. That show last year came, wherever show he competed against Akeem, he got second. I think it was by a point, and I think he was ahead after prejudging. And, so he's able to beat in a prejudging, the best Akeem Williams that we've seen, outside of, let's say, the Olympia. So that alone says a lot, because, to get by a really good Akeem, you got to be, tremendous.
Is he back training at Oxygen Gym, Jose?
I don't know if he's at Oxygen, but Abdullah is now his coach.
Oh, okay. Did Abdullah open up his own gym?
I don't know.
I thought I saw that somewhere.
I
got to look that up.
That wouldn't be too good with Bader.
I don't know. I got to look that up. This is a great shot from Justin from behind here. Hold on.
Well, he looks good from all angles, really.
He's got a great back. His back definitely improved a lot, I think.
Yeah, a lot improved.
Who else do you like in this the potential New York Pro lineup that we might see on that stage?
Mm-hmm. Who else
I don't
you got?
Who's in it? Yeah.
Well, God forbid they release a competitor list. We can talk about this stuff,
It's still a little early.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good show. Like, even out of those 3 or 4, I think it's going to come down to whoever nails their condition best on the day, because each of them have some standout body parts, different types of physiques and stuff. So I think whoever nails it 100% will be the winner of the show. And out of all those physiques, you can't say one's better than the other, because they're all great, but in their own sort of right. So it's going to be a great show, I think.
Someone just said in the chat that Brad had gotten a kidney transplant finally after like 10 years. So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe there was some kind of a rejection thing. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what date he had the kidney transplant, but someone did say that in the chat. If anyone else has any more information in the chat or can pull up any information, you guys can post it and I'll announce it if it's real. Unfortunate, really unfortunate.
You haven't got the big story yet, Dave, about Jose and Lee Priest making a comeback.
Oh, Jose, you're not making a comeback, are you?
I said I would if Lee does.
Oh, if Lee does. Oh.
Yeah.
Lee
and I said I would if Jose does.
Well, you said you already told us you're making a comeback, Lee.
Yeah, it's just going to be between Jose and I. That's it, just us two.
Yeah,
someone's
we're
going to get
in
first.
Spain.
Yeah. It's going to be on Marbella Beach. Dorian's going to judge.
Who do you like in the Jose? Now that you're out of competition, who do you like in the 212 division right now? We're seeing new guys moving up the ranks so fast in that division. It's really very competitive now. Who do you think is going to be like the top 5 guys to look out for this year?
I think so. I was at Flex Lewis's gym opening a few weeks ago and got to spend a little time with Derek Lunsford, and he is enormous, Dave. He's 255 he weighs right now, and he's in decent shape. Like, he is just so.
Is he going to do 212 or is he going to move up to the open?
I think he's gonna. And he mentioned something that made a lot of sense. The last few years, he'd been trying to keep his weight down so he could stay at 212. Right. And now he's working with Hani, and Hani said, take the governor off. Just go. That's
what I thought. Yeah, right.
And whatever happens, happens. And I think that makes the most sense. You know, he was too busy trying to hold his body back that when he got on stage, he looked like someone who was holding his body back.
Right.
You know, where Hani said, let's go. Wherever you end up, you're going to be at your best. And I think that's the best mindset for any bodybuilder. And
look, it worked well for William Bonac, that's for sure.
Yeah, and for Hadi Chupin too, you know.
True.
Hadi was unbelievable. And I guarantee you this year, Hadi could have made 212. Even if he wanted, you know, he did open. They said he lost something like 19 pounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, between prejudging and finals.
Yeah, that's never good.
Well, no, that's what brought him to second place. Like, he was second after the finals because he had dried out so much.
So why do you think this guy, you think he just didn't know how to peak? You think he was just overdoing it, like, you know, to try to fill out?
Who, Hadi? Or?
No, I'm talking, are you talking about Hadi or are you talking about Lunsford?
I was going back and forth.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Lunsford dried out. I mean, you're talking about Hadi dried out.
Right.
Much. Yeah, well, but Hani said he had to travel. You know, the travel really killed him, is what, you know.
Right.
Because he got in at the last minute, you know.
The point was, I don't think Hadi was concerned with his body weight when he was 212, and when he, you know, he was just training, and you know, that body did not look like a physique that was concerned with how much he weighed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a learning lesson for Lunsford. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of his physique and where he's headed, because now, you know, not that the guy that was helping him wasn't good, but you know, you've got a proven guy now in Hani that.
Well, also when you try to suck yourself down, like you said, and do something that's not working, and you keep doing it, you get the same results a lot of times, and that's what was happening. He would look great 2 weeks out, and then he would look terrible the day of the show. You know.
Yeah. He's not. I've always said he's not a 212 bodybuilder.
No.
I mean,
I don't know how many times people have said, you see what Lunsford looked like. You know, I said he's not going to look like he's. By the time, you know what, when you look really good and you're at a weight that's 10 pounds over, and you look legitimately really good, the 10 pounds that comes off looks like 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's I think the best move, I mean, if he's 250, you think he's going to come down 240, 230, 212, going down to 212 would be like a disaster. He'd just end up looking like he always does, like really impressive a month out, and then trying to make the weight, you know, you get back to square one.
Who was that guy that was the manager at Bev's? He used to do that. He was like 260.
Kevin
English.
Kevin
English. Yeah, and then he'd go down to 212. It was crazy.
202.
202. That's right. It was before 212.
Yeah.
He held a lot of water though, weight too. He probably lost 25 pounds when he would start dieting, you know.
Nothing wrong with that, Dave. Nothing wrong with that.
Now, Lee, would you do the open or 212 if you came back?
I'll be doing the new class. It's the geriatric COVID shot.
The transgender geriatric COVID shot category.
Can't let the dream go. Not living in reality.
No, but I mean, you were always an open guy. You never. There was no 212 when you competed.
No, the 212, the 202 started what in 06, 08, wasn't it, or 06?
Yeah. Something like that.
It started because I last competed with the IFBB in 06, so I know it started just after me.
I don't think you would have done the 212 anyway, would you have?
Don't think so. I don't know, because I had fun in the Open. The Open was fun
Yeah.
because it's almost like when I used to drag race and you do the bracket racing, you had to dial your car in and run a number. It'd be like, I don't know, going up against the heavier guys. I felt better if I was weighing like 205 and I beat someone 260, 270. It felt more of an accomplishment. And even placing 6 at the Olympia would probably be more money than winning the 202 back in the day. So
Yeah.
I hated back then. I hated back then too when the 202 was always on in the expo. They never got the respect they deserved. They'd always put the show at the expo. I'm like, how can we have the guys at the expo, but yet they'll put in the figure girls and that on at the main stage, and the bodybuilding guys are in the expo. So I hated it for many years until the guys finally got to go on the main stage.
You're
was
so
ridiculous.
illogical.
It was ridiculous. I don't know why they did that. And they wouldn't even call it the 212 Olympia. Remember, they would call it the Showdown.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for what reason? Why not? Why not? How come you can have a bikini Olympia, but you can't have a 212 Olympia?
Dave, you know who I think is the biggest threat to Sean is Keon.
Keon Pearson, yeah.
Yeah, I think he has the best flow, the best amount of muscle, the best shape. He's not tall. You know, he's probably my height or an inch taller. So he fits in that category perfectly. And he still has size to improve.
Yeah, and you know what? He like you said, you know, Sean Clarita not being the biggest guy on that stage, I think he matches up well with Keon, right?
Right, exactly.
You know, where do you see Chris? With all the new blood in there, Kamal is right there. I mean, obviously, he was a close second place last year. I mean, it could have gone probably either way. Is Kamal come back this year and try to get that title back?
Yeah, he's coming back, try to get the title back. I think he's capable of winning it back.
He's more than capable.
Yeah, I mean, he's.
There's no guarantee Clarita gets better.
There's Keon Pearson, obviously. That structure is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
You know,
these shows sometimes come down to, a lot of factors. They're very close sometimes. They could come down to, obviously condition plays a role, but fullness plays a role. So, Kamal could miss it. Clarita could hold a little water. Kamal could hold a little water, and Keon could be, 100% on the money, or vice versa. So. You never know. But those are three people who are, have all the tools to win the show.
I mean, if you look at Clarita, I remember, when he first became a pro, I think he won the Team Universe, something like that. I mean, it was really almost like a Dexter Jackson story. Bantamweight, lightweight guy, and moves up. He's like, man, I'm going to be on that Olympia stage, and I always, we always supported him. He always used to come to the Bros vs. Pros challenges. I'd interview him, and I just kept seeing him improve and improve and improve. And man, he really, he visualized it and he made it happen. And that's, when you see that happen and you can watch that progress over a number of years, it kind of really inspires you to kind of believe that almost anyone could do anything they want if they set their mind to it and they actually enact everything necessary to do it. That means don't miss workouts, don't miss, resting, don't miss meals. He lived that lifestyle like a monk.
Everything you really need to know without even knowing him is his stage presence. Even when he was getting 6th and 8th and, 3rd and 4th and 2nd at pro shows, and winning pro shows. But even from the get-go, he's always walked out like, I'm the winner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not in an arrogant, I mean, in a confident way that makes you step up and say, who's this guy? And, he's always had even when he was winning pro shows, I think he won the Alaska show or something like that. Farnsworth was 2nd in it or 3rd.
Yeah.
And that had to be 5 years ago. He's probably 17, 18 pounds smaller, but he walked out like he was, going to dominate the show. He's always had tremendous stage presence, and now his physique just backs that up. So,
Jose, is he the shortest the 212 Olympia champ?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. How tall
I
is he?
was
Is he 5
regularly
foot?
the
What is he? 5'1", 5'2"?
No way. 5
What
feet,
is he?
5 feet, 5'1".
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
Good
short.
shoes
Wow.
on. Dave, I'm 5'3" and change, and I'm significantly taller than him.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Like almost like 3 inches taller. So
He's like a Marvin Ward,
When he comes out, he doesn't. And that's the other thing about his physique is, as short as he is, by himself he never looks short. In comparison, he doesn't look short.
No, he's got
some bodybuilders look short in the lineup, and you go like, subconsciously you say, nah, he's short. But Sean doesn't look short. Everything's the way it's put together.
Exactly.
Gives the illusion, cancels that, quote, negative aspect out, if it is a negative aspect.
Yeah, if it even is. I mean, because you don't see the shortness on him in the lineup.
Jose's like that. No, by himself, you look really tall when you're alone.
He looks dense. Yeah, he looks dense.
Very dense. But all the proportions, you don't give it. You don't get a height thing.
Yeah, if you have really short arms or really short legs, then you look like that.
Good point. Yeah.
I'm my arms aren't overly short for my height or my legs either. Same thing with Clarita. He's very well, put together, balanced.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't look short.
We're like the T-Rexes of bodybuilding.
Now, here's an interesting question, and you guys can answer. I'm not gonna chime in yet, but Jose started as a natural bodybuilder. It was natural for many years, and didn't really test the gear out for later into his career. Same thing with Clarita, and you see such a well-developed, mature muscle look, good proportion and structure. Jose, do you attribute that to the fact that you stayed drug-free for so long before you started?
100%. And I think Ronnie Coleman is one of those.
Yeah, Kai too.
Green is one of those. Sean Roden is one of those.
Yep.
Tricky Jackson, who competed into his 50s, is one of those.
Right.
Sean Clarita is another. It's the fact. Yeah. Lee only started at 19. So
only at 19. That makes me sound young when you say it like that.
Lee only used 100 milligrams of testosterone, though, right?
Now look, you're only giving the Natty or Not pages more ammo to start a whole new. Lee and Jose said they were natural, and he's saying that thing was natural until this age. Were they Natty or not? Come on, people, comment below. Oh shit.
Yeah, 100%. I think all those names learned how to train and diet and do all the other aspects of it before adding the next component into it. And now today it's the exact opposite.
Uh-huh.
Most kids are like, I want to do a show, but I can't afford the gear yet. What do you mean? And I have girls saying, like bikini girls, I want to compete, but I can't afford gear yet. Like, what the hell?
Or they take the gear, and they can't afford the food. I'm taking all the gear, but I'm not eating.
I've seen girls who have sent me pictures and have asked me, like, if I want to work with them or what I thought. And these girls were like maybe just started training, and they're on gear, and they look like they're on they look like they've been training for 20 years. The amount of muscle they have. I'm like, what are you taking? And they're like, oh, I'm taking Anavar, but I'm really breaking out terribly, and my hair is thinning, and I got hair on my chin. And I'm like, you're not taking Anavar. Did you test your drugs? No. So and so told me that Arnold uses it. One of those things.
I read it wrong.
They go and buy the Roy test on my website, and they.
I was just gonna say, Dave, cue the Roy test now. The advertisement.
No, but they'll go and test it, and then they find out they take a Dianabol for the last 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever. Of course, you're going to grow as a woman if you take a Dianabol, but every side effect in the book they got,
Yes. So as Chris says, all you women out there, contact Dave for your testing kit right now.
He'll give you 10.
He'll give you 10% off, and with your testing kit will come a packet of razors.
it's a very dangerous thing out there. But you're right, Jose. People, they can't wait. 6 months they're on stuff already. If you know, after they're starting, because they want to be on. They want to get their pro card, right, the first year they're competing.
Yeah. Hashtag pro card.
Like when we first started, it was like, all right, I want to win the New York Metropolitan, novice middleweight class first. You know, now it's like, well, I got to get my pro. If I don't have my pro card by September, then I'm a failure. You know.
Well, that's because they give out pro cards like candy, so you can make that assumption.
Well, Dave, the difference is if somebody's training and they put on a lot of 20 pounds of muscle, 25 pounds of muscle naturally, and then they do a small cycle of the smallest amount of stuff, they just explode. Whereas the person who starts from day one, they kind of sort of explode, but that's it. They never really improve thereafter.
No. It's
like the whole reset. It like offsets your you can never make the gains that you could if you just started and trained naturally, but we're just in a different time and era where, people don't train naturally. You know what it is, Chris? I think you get when you first start taking steroids, that first couple cycles you do, you get that one huge surge of growth. If you use it up early on when you really don't need it, you could do it naturally, you blew it. If you wait until you've tapped out your natural potential and then you use it, you jump to that next level. It's like mind-boggling the next level you'll jump to. But you have to put in the 5 years, the 7 years of natural work first to get yourself peaked out naturally before you can take the next leap, so to speak. No one wants to wait.
No, and people used to do that. If you got a diet back in the old days, you'd eat, you'd train hard. You wouldn't even really consider drugs. All you'd want to do is train and eat and get big from eating. But now, I'm sure a lot of you who train people, you give a young kid a diet and a training program, the first thing he'll go is, okay, there's the diet, there's the training, where's the cycle? And then the next thing they ask is, once they go through the diet, when's my cheat meal?
I knew you were going to say that, Liz. That's the first thing. Where's the cheat meal?
Like a cheat meal. It's like you just
started.
Or you give them the training program and in 2 weeks' time they say, oh, should I change my training up? When do I change my training? I'm like, how about you do it for a couple of months first and then change your training? It's like,
Someone makes a good point in the comment section too. They say, every girl in the gym is on Anavar. And the funny thing is, back in the day, and I think Ron Love, I interviewed him recently. That'll be up probably this week. He made a good point. He said back in the day that they would take like 5 or 6 Anavar, and the Anavar pills were like 2.5 milligrams. So you would like using like 10, 15 milligrams a day as a man. And the women would use like 1 or 2 pills, like maybe 2.5 to 5 milligrams a day. Nowadays, if you're a woman, you're on 30 milligrams of Anavar right from the start. Otherwise you're a chump. It's kind of weird, right?
Well, Pete Grimkowski used to swallow Anavar by the bottle.
But I'm saying for most people who didn't have access like that, they wouldn't take that many.
So do you think the early stage drug use could, like, 2 guys come to my mind that were fantastic when they were really young, and then they just kind of disappeared. Trey Brewer was one. Centopani was another one. These guys were like phenoms. And then what happened?
Yeah, I think Evan just didn't really, wasn't that important competing for him. I think that's where he went, and he kind of just took it easy. I think Trey was definitely a good example of someone who was a teenage phenomenon, and then maybe the hype just mentally, hurt him a little bit, and he kind of like just couldn't live up to the hype,
Hey, putting those 2 names in the same sentence is like blasphemy.
Yeah, I agree.
Evan has won many pro shows.
Well, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it in a derogatory way.
No, I get it.
I'm just saying that Evan was one of my favorite bodybuilders when he came out. I thought he was amazing. But and it's probably why I make a statement like that. Is I would love to have seen the follow through with both of those guys. Not to blasphemize any of them.
I don't think Evan wanted to go to that next level where he had to use the massive amount of drugs and compete all the time. And I think he was just happy with where he was, and that that's his own personal decision. I think his health was more important to him. I think that's why we didn't see him with the follow through. I think Trey just mentally burnt out. Too much expectation on him, you know.
I need
injuries too.
What?
He's got some injuries too, and he's got a family and
Right.
you know, priorities. He's still training. He's still a gigantic dude. He's, you know, he'd be 280 all day long.
Wow.
I need to ask John. John, what's happening? I saw this that Big Lenny's been arrested. What's happening with the fight?
It was a drug charge. I wonder if it was his steroids or his Viagra. I don't know which
or his GHB.
I don't know. Wasn't he down there at Schoolies, whatever it is at South Beach there?
Spring break.
Spring break. It could have been GHB and licking armpits.
We'll have to research that for after hours tomorrow, John.
Yes. We're gonna need a full report.
We'll do a full report tomorrow on that. Yeah. What's up, John Effer?
Have you spoken to Boston Lloyd? You got any updates on him?
His kidney function has gotten worse. He told me. So I don't know why, but it seems like his creatinine is going up rather.
I like Boston, you know, because he's got a family and wife. Now I can't understand why when, you know, I guess it's like in your mind, but why doesn't he just come off everything? Because I still hear like he keeps saying that he's just doing low TRT and he's doing this and doing this. I'd be like, I'll just come off everything and get your liver in order, whatever, your kidneys in order. I'd be like, but he's still taking gear. I'd be like, just come off it all. Just come off it.
I have a lot of talks with him, and John, you and I have talked about this. He's, you know, I told him this. I said, I do not want you to wind up as another Derek Anthony, because that was this very sad situation. Derek just couldn't stop, you know, and I think that, you know, led to his demise. But, you know, Boston is, you know, he has to learn the hard way. Hopefully, you know, when he realizes what's going on and he takes some serious action to alleviate some of the health.
But the thing is, Boston has fans. Like, okay, in your mind, mentally, you might want to feel big and be big, but he has fans. Even if he got small, he's still going to have those fans that are going to follow him. Exactly. So he should just come off and get your health in order, you know?
I agree. But, you know, look, everyone can make their own decisions in life. I always say that as long as they're making, you know, they know what's going on and they're aware of what's going on. And I think enough people, I had Tom Prince talk to Boston Lloyd. They did a phone call together. So Tom pretty much gave him the, you know, this is what's going to happen if you keep going the way you're going, talk. And so, you know, if he doesn't listen to Tom Prince, then, I mean, I don't know who else you're going to listen to, right, at that point.
Do you think some people just still have that mentality, that won't happen to me, that happened to you, I'll be the one that doesn't happen to?
Or people think that they're going to be able to solve the problem using their own techniques, but you know, the only technique to solving some of these problems is completely to go the other direction. You know, stop everything. I remember Mike Morris.
Yeah.
Mike, great bodybuilder, great guy. I was very good friends with him, and he had some his creatinine was creeping up very high, higher than he liked, and he stopped, man. And I think he saved his kidneys. I think his kidney function is great now. He started doing more endurance training, and he got into triathlons for a while. And I haven't talked to him in a while. I should actually get him on the show. It'd be a good interview. But he saved his kidneys because he just said, you know what? I am not losing these. And that's it. I'm going that other direction. And he stopped everything, you know.
But see, a guy like Boston Lloyd, his fame or his notoriety is predicated on 5 cc's. You know, I gotta, you know, do all of this shit. And I don't think it's feasible for him to go the other way completely, because I think in his mind, and I don't know, and I don't want to offend him, but I think in his mind, I don't think he could see himself, you know, the other way. And the thought of it is so, you know, terrifying that he just can't go there.
Yeah.
Maybe terror is a bad term, but just unsavory.
You got to recreate yourself. I tell you that. I mean, Jose, did you go through like a mental breakdown a little bit when you stopped competing and said, hey, what am I going to do with myself now? Because everyone does it. It's like a dilemma. You got to kind of, in your mind, say, all right, what am I going to do? I got to recreate who I am. I can't just be that guy who competes every year. Now I'm done. I got to be a different type of guy. I got to go in a different direction. What did you go through, like, you know, as far as mentally to make that change?
It was depression.
Yeah.
And I went through it for all 27 years of me competing. Every time I was in an off season, not prepping for a show, I felt lost. Like I had no goal, no meaning to do anything. So then I spent a year and a half feeling sorry for myself with a new hip, but I was still training and slowly coming back. And as I was able to recover and actually get better, my confidence came back. Well, you know, whether or not I was going to compete again, who knows? But the fact that I could train again as if I was going to compete changed everything, you know. So yeah, I went through a severe depression for a while, but that's just because that's all I've known my whole life.
Well, and then you lost the gym too, which had to be a big blow too, I would think.
Yeah, I got kicked in the nuts a bunch right in a row. And you know, and then the pandemic nonsense happening, and you know, where I should be at a stage in my life where things are growing and expanding, I'm starting over. So you know, but it's nothing new. It happens to all of us, and I'm very, very confident now that I'm heading in the right direction. I feel like $1 million.
Good.
You know, I'm healthy.
Great.
I'm strong. That's all you can ask for, right?
I got to bring up one more topic before we wrap this up. First of all, Michael Hearn I consider him a good friend. This is the guy who has been texting me out of nowhere. You know, he always says, Dave, I'm thinking about you. How's your health? You know, you know, always asking me for updates. I mean, that's a friend. I mean, very few people do that on a regular basis. And Mike and I don't talk every day, you know, but he always thinks of me, and that I really respect that. I want to put that out there because I think Mike's a really good guy. And they break this fucking guy's balls about the natural thing. And Chris, who and I? Was it me and was it you and me? Lee and I were speculating about Mike being natural. And, you know, Lee was pointing out the fact that Mike's looked like this for the last, whatever, how many years?
30 years.
Yeah, he's looked the same. And same thing. I know, Jose, you said the same thing. And these guys, like, I sort of do shit. I don't watch anyone's videos anymore. I stopped doing it recently because I don't want to go into that space. But I see someone did a video on Lee and I think Greg Doucette did a video on us questioning that Mike could be natural. And I believe him, you know. And I don't know, why are people so freaking on this guy's case? I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great representative of our sport. He does nothing but positive things for the sport. He never badmouths. I don't understand why. Is it a jealousy thing, you think?
Absolutely. There's no. It's the excuse for the unexplainable. Okay, so clearly, I mean, I've known Mike for 20 years. I mean, Jose's right. Whoever said it, Jose, I think, said he's looked that way for 30 years. Yeah. He has. He's looked exactly the same. But look, we have outliers in every sport, in every dimension. We have people that are freaks. And the rest of us who aren't freaks, who want to be freaks, you know, look at a guy like that and it's pure jealousy. It's like if I can't do it, he can't possibly do it. So it's the unanswerable question. I mean, why can't he be, you know, the Michael Jordan of bodybuilding? You know, he is an outlier. There's no question about it. The guy's been strong as an ox his entire life, and there's no reason he's not making anything off it. You know, it's the same thing with Lee. Lee says everybody accuses Lee of taking a ton of shit. It's just they can't accept the fact that he looks the way that he does without taking a ton of shit because they can't do it.
And the thing is, I've always given the exact amounts I've used, and I have people tell me, "Oh, you're lying. I heard you take this." And I'm like, I'm the guy taking it. I'm telling you exactly what I'm taking. Well, such and such told me. I said, I don't even know that guy, so how would he know what I'm taking? But it's like John said, because somebody could be using 2,000 milligrams, and if you say I'm taking 600, in their mind they go, I'm on 2,000. You're bigger than me. How can you be bigger than me on 600? Like they said, they forget about the genetics, the mental side of it, the hard work, the consistency, the eating. And then somebody commented too saying, well, how come Mike only gets better? Well, when I did the universe, that was probably my best condition ever. You mature with age, and if you can keep training.
He has no injuries. That's why. You know?
Yeah, exactly. No injuries. Keep positive, keep training. You look better.
The injury thing is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has no tear. Heavy, you know.
because he was
That
meant
shows you
to.
that he's a freak. You know what I mean? He has no injuries, and he's what, 50 years old?
He's
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
he's over.
Yeah, he might even be older than that. You're right.
But
He came to Golds in Venice in 88 or 89, and he was 19. So you can, because the day he came to Golds was the day I met him. Ed Connor sent him to my office.
Oh, really?
He had this old car, and the entire interior of the car was covered with Arnold pictures. He had driven it.
That's great.
But it's funny that you never get this in any other venue. It's like if you get a 8-year-old prodigy piano player who can play better than anybody in the entire world and never took a lesson because they just were able to pick it up. Nobody says, "Oh, it was this or that," or they just accept it. They're a phenom. For some reason, nobody in this industry can accept that Michael Hearn is a phenom. They're looking for that clue.
Did they say this about what's his name who just won the Super Bowl again? Did they say he must be loaded on steroids? No, they say he's a great
Tom Brady. Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. They say, look, Tom Brady's a phenom when it comes to what he does. They're not saying he's all juiced to the gill. He can't be playing that position for that long without being on gear and stuff. It's like they just can't. But the thing is, when you look at the people you look at the people's profiles that are saying it. Like I said, Mike was training and big and lifting heavy weights before these people were even born. You look at him and I'm just like, oh, really?
Yeah. Also, and another thing, if you remember, Mickey Mantle was one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but he was notorious for partying and he was an alcoholic, and he obviously died ultimately of liver failure. But he had a liver transplant, then he died. But he shortened his career by his own admission because of his lifestyle. You look at Tom Brady. Brady lives like a monk. He eats perfectly. He's got nutrition. He's got a nutritionist. He's got a trainer. He's got massages every day. I mean, the guy takes impeccable care of himself, almost like the way Jay did when Jay was winning the Olympia and Dexter. They knew how to extend their careers using, the way they eat, the supplements they take, and treating their bodies like a temple. Not many people can live that monkish lifestyle for that length of time,
Well, you take someone like Dexter or even like Ronnie Coleman. If they never touched the drug and how they looked when they were natural, if they had to keep training up until now with no drugs, they'd still look great. They'd still be strong. They'd still be having the muscle and the condition like Michael Hearn does. They wouldn't be as freaky as they got on the gear, but if they never touched the drug and stayed natural all their life, they'd look great. People would be accusing them.
Look at Jimmy the Bull. Lives on hot dogs and beer. All right.
And he still looks
yes.
good, right?
The guy was one of the strongest guys in the world, and it wasn't all about juice, so he barely took anything.
Well, he took a lot. He liked his Anadrols, but I know what you're saying. He was always strong, even before that.
Some people are just gifted, and you can't undo that. You can't, you can't regulate it with drugs. It's just the way it is. Some guys are just blessed.
Kai was a freak. I got to say, Kai was a freak before he ever took drugs. He wasn't as big, but he was crazy muscle separation. You would never in a million years believe that guy was natural if you saw him on stage.
Well, remember, I guess it was before you got to MD, but when we went that natural route, we had him on the cover. I mean, he was striking that you could imagine that this guy, and of course, when we put him on the cover, nobody believed he was natural. No. Absolutely nobody.
Yeah. And he was competing in the real natural organizations back then, which they really drug tested and stuff like that. So he was natural,
Yeah, then he gained 40 pounds in 1 year. No, I mean, because he had been training since he was he'd been training, maybe 15 years natural, from 13, 14 years old.
The take-home messages, and like Jose said, train naturally as long as you possibly can, because you will respond so well. I trained natural for 5 years before I took anything, and my body exploded when I took gear too. Well, I didn't have the structure of some of these guys, but I gained 100 pounds in 5 years after that. Muscle, not 100 weight pounds. 100 pounds of muscle.
I wish I could have done it longer, because I started competing at 13, when I won shows at 13 to 19, then that's when people go, well, Lee, why'd you take drugs at 19? Because at 19, just before I turned 20, is when I turned pro. So pretty much to keep up with the pros, I had to take it. But up until 19, if you see me when I'm 19, like I said, I'm still a lightweight. When I just before I went to America, I took Deca and put on 20 pounds in 6 weeks. So you can see the difference from.
It's true. When you did your first cycle, Jose, how much weight did you gain?
I gained 18 pounds in 3 months of stage weight.
Wow.
I did the New York Pro. I was still natural. I was 184. And then, bam, I did the Atlantic City Pro. Almost beat Flex. And I was 202.
The green bean. He was the green bean at that show.
Yeah. What was the cycle you did, Jose?
Oh, it's just, I think test and deck. I grew a nice set of tits. Test deck and some Arimidex.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, you could do transgender thing today if you had the cities today.
Yeah.
We couldn't make it through a show without Lee throwing it in.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lee and Jose are gonna come back in the women's division. That's the comeback.
Yeah.
All the retired men are gonna come back as women now, so they can still be.
And we'll probably still get beat by the women.
I did a podcast for another show recently, and I was asked that question about the transgender athletes, and my position is, if you suck so bad as a man, and that your only option is to train as a woman, that's pretty bad. Then I got barraged with my unwoke state of mind.
Yeah.
I'm like this about it. You're in the same breath. They're talking about the athletes. I guess it was during when the Olympics was in LA. I guess in '84. The LA Times ran this questionnaire, and or an article where they said they questioned 500 Olympic athletes and asked them, if you could take a drug that would guarantee you a gold medal, but you die within 5 years, would you take it? 95% of the people said, yeah, they would take it. But the same group of people said, oh, there's no way that a guy would compete as a girl to win a medal. No, but they would be willing to cut their life short. But they would.
I love that that Matt Kroc, who's now Janae Marie Kroc. She's like, you know what? She competes in powerlifting, but she's doing it as a man. I think she's doing fighting now. She's doing mixed martial arts, but she's fighting with the guys. She's not fighting with girls that she would destroy if she ever did fought against them. So that's fun. I'm okay with that. If you want to be a woman, but yet still say, you know what, I've been a man my whole life. I'm a woman now, but I want to compete because I'm competitive, but I'm going to compete with men because I know that I don't belong with the women. That I have a lot more respect for.
I wouldn't say I had respect for it, but I could understand it.
Well, why wouldn't you? If
I don't respect it.
She's competing with who the people she should be competing with. She's a biological man.
I agree with.
Okay.
And John wonders why he gets hate mail. John, be passive like me. Don't stir the pot, mate. Just.
What I don't understand is why Why do all these men decide they want to become women when they're like 50 years old? Do it
because they want to go out, get free meals and free drinks, and have their bills paid. Who wouldn't?
They don't want
They want to take half your shit.
Exactly. They want free. They want houses, cars, money. Oh, yeah. That's why men get paid. That's why they always say, "Why do men get paid more?" Because we're paying for half your shit all the time through life. We've got to buy you drinks and meals. We need more money. That's why we've got the bigger pay gap.
And on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Jose, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Lee, thanks for waking up at 2 a.m.
I'm going back to bed. It's 3:45. Right. Or maybe I'll stay up.
Drink a shake first, so you don't become.
I already had a shake and banana before the show.
All right, that's good. And as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth
hurts.
Good night, everyone.
All hate mail, John. All hate mail.
Have a great afternoon. And we will see you next week. Thanks, Jose.
You got it.
Bye.